Good morning. How are we doing? Happy Wednesday. And if people are counting down the days for Christmas, it's today, because the day's not over with. We just kind of begun. And then it's Thursday, and then Friday. So I just want to wish everybody, before I even start, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I always say Merry Inspirational because I feel like around this time, there's a lot of inspirational things happening. You see the movies coming out, people are sending cards. I received a few cards yesterday, which was very surprising because I usually don't get a chance to send out, like Christmas cards or thank you cards. And I was like, oh, that was so sweet. They sent me something. Now I feel bad because I need to go send them. But, it's just nice just to open up your mailbox, because I know we're so used to like emails and messaging and texting and all that kind of stuff from people. But when you get a card, a physical card, and a physical gift, either from, FedEx, UPS, or in the mailbox, it's just something about it just as warms your heart. So I really thank some of the people that have sent me certain gifts through the mail and through FedEx. So I appreciate you so much. So with that, I want to get started. We have a good show today. We have, first of all, our expert's going to be coming on first, Mr. Barry Mixon. And after that, I have a special guest coming on. And I don't want to tell her name because I want to give her a good introduction when she comes on. But believe me, you want to stay for the whole show. She's going to have some good insights about publishing your book and telling your story. And it's interesting that she's coming on today because, as our expert, Mr. Barry Mixon, always says, about stories are powerful, that they're important in your life. And now she's going to be talking about putting it to pen to paper. So it all kind of blends in today. So you want to stay for the whole show to make sure you hear all of the tips and all the skills that you can get. Now, I always kind of give you a quote to get you through the day. Now, this quote came to me because I was thinking about, as we were all dealing with everything going on in the world, and I know that our thoughts can really get to us if we don't maneuver them the right way. So the quote that I have today is, let go the thoughts that don't make you strong. Let go of the thoughts that do not make you strong. So if you know that you're saying in your mind, well, I'm just not going to be able to get through this, or I don't know when some extra money's coming in or what have you, get rid of those thoughts. I always say the little thing, flip it. You have to flip it. Words are so powerful. I tell people the universe hears your words that come out your mouth. It does. And what you put out, it's going to come back to you. So if you say that, you're not going to have no money, you're depressed, whatever, then, all that's going to come around. And it's interesting because then people come around you with those same kind of thoughts. So it's just like an added on thing. And you don't want that. You don't want that. So just be mindful of what you say for you and what you say for others, and be mindful of your thoughts, because your thoughts get into your heart, and then you really don't want to dwell into that. So just let go of the thoughts that don't make you strong. Get the thoughts that make you stronger. So with that, I'm going to bring on our sponsor, and then we're going to go right into Mr. Barry. Here we go.
Good morning. And as Barbara said, happy holidays to you. My name is Barry Mixon. Welcome to another episode of the Gem Hunter Show. My name is Barry Mixon. I am a gemological storyteller and I am the Gem Hunter. Last episode, we talked about the power of Once Upon a Time. And in that episode, for those of you who missed it, I talked about how Once Upon a Time is basically a time machine. It's like our own personal time machine because it allows us to go back to remember when we felt differently about ourselves, more successful, more powerful, more determined in a goal. And for many of us, we reached those goals. For many of us, our lives were happy and we had success and we had the direction in our lives. And now, because of 2020, for many of us, all that has blown up. Every morning I wake up and I look at how many people have died due to the coronavirus. We're up to 323,000 people. 323,000 people who woke up January 1st, 2020, and they had dreams, they had hopes, they had a direction in what they're going to take. And now they're no longer here. And those of us who are still here, the question I think that all of us have to ask is, what are we going to do? Providing a call, let's pray that we all survive this horrible pandemic, this virus. But the next thing is, what are we going to do? Once upon a time, because so many of us have started all or have to start all over again, financially, economically, we have to start our businesses all over again. Again, I told you before how I feel about, even though I'm not a restaurateur, I just think it's so sad that when you think about how much it takes to run a restaurant, and now those people are no longer here. The nurses, the doctors who have died, and nurses and doctors who are struggling every day to not only have their own family, but to care for all of us. What do we do? So Once Upon a Time can mentally, spiritually take you back to happier times, to better times, and then to be able to, and the way it moves forward, is that you can take those same strengths and same energies that you used to become successful before to become successful again. Which takes us to the next element. As I told you before, there are 8 elements, and each week I will go over an element. So we did Once Upon a Time last week. This week is the starting element, which is sound. Sound, when I say sound, I'm not just talking about sound that you hear. But sound in terms of storytelling is the sound that not only that you hear, but the sound that you feel. The sound that starts that drum beat that you hear. And some of us have been hearing that drum beat for a long, long time. Just that constant drum beat of something that we want to do in our lives. For some of us, it started when we were children. For some of us, it started because of the coronavirus. And it made us think where we're at right now. It made us think, what are you going to do? Sound is the initial direction. It is the first step that you take towards creating your story. Whether when you're writing a story, as some of you know, I'm a Toastmaster. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I've won a few championships in my Toastmaster career. And people always ask me, how do you do it? How do you win a championship? And it's not so much about winning. To me, it's about creating something. And that creating something starts with a sound. I didn't come up with sound when I was thinking of the 7 elements. I didn't really start out with sound. Actually, I started out with the hero. But it wasn't until I watched a movie, a movie that I absolutely love, about a composer that I absolutely love, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And there was a movie, I think it was 1984 or so, named Amadeus, which was the story of his life. And there's a scene, for those of you who have watched it, there's a scene in Amadeus where Antonio Salieri, who was the antagonist in the movie, we'll talk about the antagonist in regards to the 7 elements in a future episode, but Salieri was the antagonist for the movie, for Amadeus. And there was a scene in there where he didn't know who Mozart was. He had heard about Mozart. Mozart created his first symphony his first concerto when he was 4, a symphony when he was 7, a full-scale opera when he was 12 years old. But Salieri knew of him, but he never met Mozart. And the first time he met Mozart, he was greatly disappointed because Mozart, like a lot of geniuses, was different. And when he first looked at his music, because he was a composer, and Salieri was a real person, he was a noted composer in his own right. Of course, he can hear music in his head. So the first time he saw Mozart's music, he was describing it as a story much, much later. He must have been about 90 years old later on in his life. So he described when he first saw Mozart's music, and he said, at first, there was nothing. Basset horns, just a pulse. Basset horns, bassoons, like something from an old rusty squeeze box. And then suddenly, high above it, an oboe. A single note hanging there, unwavering, until a clarinet took it over. Sweetened it to a sound of such delight. This isn't the music from a performing monkey. This was the music that I had never heard, filled with such longing, such unfulfillable longing, that it seemed to me as if I was listening to the voice of God. And I remember listening to that thinking, how amazing it must be to live a life where people remember, people hear your work, see your work, experience something that you've done like that. And that's what got me thinking how incredible it would be for all of us to create a sound. We all know, no matter you're Republican, Democrat, independent, male, gay, female, no matter, we are all not going to be here one day. So instead of just maybe living our lives, how about living a life where we create a sound that people can remember us? Not being in the newspaper or radio or television show or making millions of dollars, but just create something that we can be proud of. And it starts with that sound. I made up my mind when the coronavirus started. As I said, I was just coming back from France. I had been in France for, I guess, about a month and a half. I had come back from France probably just before the coronavirus happened. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, what do I want to do? What's the next step? And when the coronavirus hit the United States, I had already made up in my mind that I was going to, I didn't know how much time I had or what was going to happen, but I knew for myself that I was going to use this opportunity to create something different. Isaac Newton, one of the most preeminent scientists in the history of science, literally created some of his greatest theories and concepts. Gravity, the 3 laws of thermodynamics. He created those concepts during a pandemic. During the bubonic plague in England, he was supposed to go to a school. The school was closed because London was closed down. So he went to some cabin and he stayed there for 3 years. And because they didn't have the internet, they didn't have television, they didn't have Netflix, which I can't imagine living a life without Netflix. But anyhow, they didn't have any of that. So the only thing he had was his mind. And he created that during one of the worst pandemics in England's history. So sound is that initial direction. Take a moment as we come to the end of this horrific year. Take a moment and think to yourself, what is your sound? When people look at you, when people hear you, what do you want to say? When I coach people in how to create a speech, how to compete in, let's say, the World Championship of Public Speaking, the way I approach it is, what do you want to say? If you only had 7 minutes and 30 seconds to talk to God, what would you say? What would you say that win or lose, whether you get in heaven or not, what would you say to God that represents the totality of your life? What sound that you have created that no one has ever heard? And it doesn't matter. It's not about being famous. It's about just looking at your life as a story. That's the real power of stories. That's the real power, going back to last episode of Once Upon a Time, because our parents, and I don't know if I said this before, but our parents trained us. The reason why we are genetically predisposed to understand stories is because we understand stories. And what our parents did was teach us how stories run. It doesn't matter what type of story, Little Red Riding Hood, the Three Little Pigs, all these stories were building blocks. I told one of my students yesterday that who didn't like science at one point in time, and he's saying, "Oh my God, I love science." And the reason why I told him, I said, "You love science because now you see what science can do. You were bored before because you thought that because you had to learn like, let's put it in terms of a book, you learned the letters. Then from the letters, you had to learn the words. And then from the words, you had to learn the sentences, then sentences into paragraphs, and paragraphs become a story." That's how I think we should start to see our lives. What is the story that you want to tell? 50, 60, I'm 60 years old. What is the story of my life? Yes, being homeless was a part of my story. But how do I use that opportunity? Let me back up. It's not an opportunity. That event in my life. And how do I move that forward? The reason why I said opportunity wasn't really a Freudian slip is because in my head, I've always said that being homeless was part of the story of my life. You have to learn how to create your own characters. Sound is where you begin. How many times have you gone to a meeting and the meeting was supposed to be about apples and oranges, and then the next thing you know, the meeting was about car engines, and you're saying, how did we get here? That's because the person who created the story or presented the story didn't have a direction. How would you feel if you got on an airplane, when we get on an airplane again one day, and you get on and you're planning on going to Sydney, Australia, or Paris, France, and the airplane pilot says, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to United Flight 269, where we are going to Paris, Texas." You would immediately get off the plane. Many of us, we treat our lives like it's someone else's story, like someone else is supposed to direct us in our own story. No, this is your story. Sound is the initial direction. If you always dreamed of being, I have a friend in France who wants to open up his own boulangerie, okay, a bakery. So today he's looking at the opportunities that exist in America to do that. What is your sound? And you have to do it. You have to maybe sit down and think about it, dream about it. What is the direction that you want to take in your life? Because that's what it's going to take. It's not going to just happen. You have to literally see it as a story. And not only are you the director of the story, but you're the primary character, which is what we'll talk about next week. We'll talk about passion. So Once Upon a Time allows us to learn how stories work. And then sound is the direction that we're going to take. If I was creating a piece of music and Barbara says, "Barry, I heard that you do classical music." And I'm like, "Of course, Barbara, of course. I've been doing it for years." And I said, "In fact, I have a new piece." And she says, "How does it go?" And I said, "Dun, dun, 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 dun." And she says, "Oh my God, Barry, that is fantastic." And I'm like, bien sûr, which means of course in French. And she said, "What's the next line?" And I go, "The next line is, hey, for those of you who remember, that comes from Tom and Jerry's little Uncle Picos. But when you heard the first part and the second part, it doesn't go together. Many of us are living our lives like that, where we want to do something, And yet what we do doesn't match our story. It doesn't match the initial direction that we want to take. If I want to lose weight and I need to lose some weight, but if you saw me come on the screen and saying, I'm trying to lose some weight and I got a big box of Krispy Kreme donuts and a 64-ounce drink of some kind of pop, that's not the direction that I said. So in this holiday season, in this new year that's coming upon us, 2021, let's start a new journey. Let's start thinking about what is our sound. What is the direction that we want to take? And it's important for you to see this, because in next episodes that we're going to do, I'm going to show you where you go from sound, how each other characteristic has to match your original sound. If you, using the weight loss example, if I want to lose 20 pounds and at the end of, let's say, 4 months, I've gained 10 pounds, then that means that in the story that I created, the initial direction that I've taken, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And I'm not talking about injuries, illness. I'm talking about things that we can do in our lives to create that sound. And as you get better and better and better of creating your own stories, because it all comes down to stories. When we create a gemstone, any of these gemstones, ruby, this is the ruby right here. This is the part of my pendant. This is the ruby right here. The way they make synthetic rubies is they start out with what I called a unit cell. The unit cell in human beings is that once upon a time. What is that basic structure that you have? And then what they do in a lab is they take all the materials that aluminum oxide, and they put more and more molecules of that to create a larger and larger ruby. That's how rubies are created. That's how emeralds and sapphires are created. So sound is that initial thing. You've all heard stories of people who came. I just before we came on, an actress who we lost this year started with just Helen Reddy. Helen Reddy came from Australia. She had an came from abusive relationship. She came to the United States with $38 in her pocket. $38 in her pocket, and yet she became the woman that she is, and she's remembered today because she created a sound. Every person we lost this year, every person that we know, Chadwick Boseman started with started with a sound. What is your sound? What is your story? Make a resolution. If you're going to make a resolution, then make a resolution that's more open. Make a resolution that is more expansive in regards to what is your sound, not just what the government's going to do, what your uncle's going to do, what your kids are going to do. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to create your own story? Because see, once you understand the power of stories, then you'll understand even from the beginning that you have control over it. You have control of the direction that your book is going to do. Our next speaker, as Barbara said, who I think, I don't know who it is, but I think I know who it is. She's going to talk to you about books. Writing a book, taking your ideas and putting it on a piece of paper. You can do that every day. It's called the book is called Your Life. You can give yourself some soundtrack, the book of fill in the blank. What do you want to say? Because if you decided to write a book, what do you have to do? You have a blank piece of paper, you have a pen, you sit down at a computer or somewhere and you create a sound. And you create that sound with the end in mind. So again, 8 stories, 8 elements. Once upon a time, sound, passion, the hero, the antagonist, which is the most important part of any story. Awareness, which is the most beautiful part of a story. transformation, and then at the end, sound. So when you're creating what I will give you for today is to sit down with a piece of paper and just write at the top of the paper, what is my sound? What is my story? And what is my story is a little too open because that might cause confusion. So just start with a sound. What do you want people to, what's the direction that you want to take? Are you going to go this way, or you're going to go that way, or you're going to go straight? Is this the year that you create the thing that you were put here to do? Because if nobody, the one thing that I know for sure, that no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, that if you don't do what you were put here to do, whatever your beliefs are, if you do not do it, the world will never know who you are. That is sound. That is, and it starts today. It starts today with developing that inside of yourself. Is it easy? No. As the next guest will tell you, writing a book is not easy. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book about literally talking about gemstones and relating it to women, because as I told you before, many of the characteristics that we have as human beings can be found in gemstones. Or let me put it the other way. Many of the characteristics of gemstones that I look at as an appraiser of gemstones and precious metals, you can find in people. And I've decided that that's my sound. That's my direction. That's the way that I want to go. So what is your sound? You have to write, there's nobody's going to write your screenplay. Every book, every piece of music, every commercial, every product started with the sound. When you read about someone's famous in history, the first question I ask when I'm reading about them is, what was their sound? How did they get started? I was watching this documentary on Netflix, Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker didn't have education. She didn't go to school for chemistry and things of this, but yet she was the first African-American millionaire because she just wanted to work with women's hair. She wanted to make Black women beautiful. That was her sound. And she did everything, cooking in the kitchen, making up different. She didn't go to school and say, well, the molecular structure of hair. She didn't do any of that. So literally, I tell children when I teach my kids about the importance of chemistry, I use her as an example because she used chemistry to get to where she needs to get to. But her sound, the reason why we remember her today, and I don't even have hair, so imagine how significant her contribution should be to get me that excited about a woman who created hair product, and I don't have hair, but yet what I'm impressed with is her sound. That's what we remember. Everybody. They said Bill Withers, who was one of the Time magazines running a thing. Bill Withers, who I loved his music, and they said he repaired toilets for Boeing. He went to a club and Lou Rawls was supposed to perform. He was late. He kept and the manager kept saying that he's paying Lou Rawls all this money and he's always late. So Bill Withers decided that he wanted to get into that business. He went to a pawn shop. He bought a guitar. He started playing the guitar and creating lyrics and music in his head while he was fixing toilets. And today we remember Bill Withers because at that day, on that moment, he decided to create a sound. That's how important this is. And every day we get a chance to create that for ourselves. When you wake up in the morning, what is your sound? Yes, you got to pay the bills. Yes, ComEd still wants his money. Yes, Honda, whatever kind of car you have, still got to pay that car note. Yes, you still got to pay mortgage. But that can't be it. That can't be the story. No, I've never gone to a funeral where someone said, well, Barry paid his bills all the time. And we got one of the representatives from ComEd here. Just can you say a few words? Can you say a few words about Barry Mixon? Well, Barry Mixon, there was that time in April 2017 where he was a little late, but mostly nobody's going to say that. They're going to remember what you did. And before they remember what they did, you have to make up in your mind, what do you want to do with the time that you have? What do you want to, what is the music? Hear that music. And I'm going to keep referring to that all the time because that's what it feels like. It feels like that drum beat, that music that's inside your heart, inside of your mind, that keeps coming to you over and over and over again. If you don't use that recipe that your grandmother, your auntie, somebody gave you to make these wonderful cakes till the world can experience, nobody's going to do it. Barbara, despite all the things that Barbara has gone through, and those of you who know Barbara know I've heard the stories of what Barbara's gone through. Barbara decided to do this show. Barbara decided that despite whatever, or because of the things that she's gone through, she was going to do things to change the lives of people. The diamond factor. That's what this is about. That's what when we come on to guests, whether it be Iqbal or Harold or my good friend Marty, the things that Barbara has done, we're here because of the sound that Barbara heard in her space. I knew Barbara when she first started in Toastmaster, and trust me, Barbara was shy. She was just quiet. She was always fun and always sweet, and so. But this is revolutionary in regards to the Barbara I knew before and the Barbara who is in front of all of us today. That's because she made a decision. When people talk about changing their lives, people always talking about it as if it's a decision. I don't believe changing your life is a decision. I believe it's deeper than that. Yes, a decision comes into it, but I think the thing that really makes us change who we are as people and creates that direction is someone has to tell you a story. You heard a story, or you created a story in your mind, and that's the impetus. That's the power that keeps you moving. And the more times, as I tell everyone, my workshops, my seminars, my individual clients, the most important story that you have to tell is not to people on the outside, it's to yourself. You have to believe in your own story. You have to hear that story in your head of what is it going to be? How are you going to take something that you've thought about, something that you felt, something that you've experienced, and create it in such a way where people will say, wow. I am pretty much the only the only professionally trained African-American gemologist pretty much in the Midwest. Okay, certainly at the levels and as far as gemological storytellers, I don't know if there's anyone who does exactly what I've done. And is it scary? Is it when I first started, when I would go to gemology conferences, where people say, oh yeah, of course? No, they didn't. But for me, it started as a sound. For me, it started that what is a gemstone? What is value? What is something beautiful? And how can we take something that's beautiful and extrapolate it within ourselves? So happy holidays. Barbara is back. Happy holidays to everyone. And the only thing I would ask people to do is to take these 10 days or whatever days we have until the end of the year and think about, write on a piece of paper, what is your sound? Well, thank you for joining me for another episode of The Gem Hunter. And I'll see you next week, where we will talk about passion. Next week, back to you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barry. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you too, Barbara.
Well, every time Barry talks about the sound and everything, I just, really, it's so important. It's so important. And we're going to be talking to a wonderful lady that I am so proud that she's coming on the show today to get a little bit more deeper about that and putting it on paper. But before that, we have to go to a sponsor and then we will get right to her. I'm just noticing everything's kind of coming in today about stories and books and stuff. And I didn't really plan it like that. So see how the universe just talks to you and you don't even know that it's talking to you. So I mean that sponsor, basically Sammy, she has her book about the law of attraction of branding. And I'm telling you, get that book. It is so awesome. It really gives you some tips on how to brand your business, how to brand yourself. I always tell people that you are your brand. I don't care what anybody says. You are your brand. Whatever business, product, services that you're selling, you are still that brand because people have to get that relationship with you in order to want to buy from you and work with you. So think of that. That's another quick tip that I was going to give you. Now, let me just set the pace for this. This woman, I'm telling you, every time I think of Dolly, I just think of a sister that I never had. She is, I always call the women Queen Diamonds. She is a Queen Diamond. She is a number one publisher. She's an author. She's a certified coach. She's a speaker among speakers. And I'm going to say she's an international speaker because she is. Because she spoke, let's see, UK, Paris, France, all those places, virtual. See, I keep telling people you can speak anywhere right now in the world. Um, and then she's also, the biggest thing I love about Dolly is she has a heart of gold when it comes to people's stories, what's going on in their life, to make sure that people hear them through books that she publishes for them, and she walks them through each step of the way. It's not just writing a book and saying, okay, you publish a book. She takes people in and makes sure that what her, I love her tagline when she says, or right, you right to heal. And there's a lot of people out there that needs to tell their story because I keep telling people the connection between your stories and somebody else can save a life. It really can. So let me bring on this wonderful queen. I got to do it right. So before she comes on, I have a little clip. Queen, are you there? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
I'm no, oh no, I am here. I am here. Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry, I swear. That is so beautiful and so sweet and kind. I love your words. That was such a beautiful little clip. Today's an emotional day for me. I tell you, I think I'm gonna be in tears soon.
You could be. Uh-oh, I don't want to get in tears. I hope it's happy tears.
No, it's happy tears. I honestly feel so blessed. Today is I'm actually tearing up a little bit. Today is my son's 18th birthday.
Oh my God, the man.
Yeah, 18th birthday. I'm just looking at everything that surrounds me. I just got a video that was sent to me also from one of the authors actually. And she talks, and it's really inspiring about how, although 2020 was such a difficult year, many of us took the time to rebuild and to create and to, prepare ourselves, and how 2021 is going to just be, amazing, and like get ready for the avalanche for 2021. And that's how I feel. I feel like I've been preparing everything, and then I listen to your words, and you're just the sweetest thing. And then I see that clip, and I'm like, oh, so you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, well, I mean every word of it. You are, like I said, you're like a sister to me. And, we've been knowing each other. I don't know, it's been what, a year, 2 years now?
I think it's been at least a couple.
Couple of years, yeah.
Because I've
And
Anita, and that's where we met, through Anita and the co-op group. Remember?
yeah, the co-op group. Yeah, I remember we were kind of we were there. I know I traveled a long way to get there because I know it was in Naperville or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got there a little late. I was like, ugh.
I
And I ran in there.
I just fell in love with you. I was like, you're
Yeah.
just cute.
I was like, oh my God. It was just instant, like the friendship was there and we were able to talk, and I always tell people when you meet those type of people in your life, because it's not that many that you can just really, just as soon as you meet them, it's like you have that connection of, wow, I really like, talking to you, maybe we could work together, and stuff like that. And that's what we did. And we've been talking and been with each other's lives for a while now.
Yeah.
And I've seen you just explode. So I don't want to take this time for me because I want people to know what you've been doing because you have some big wins.
You know what? I'm blessed. I'm really blessed. I mean, 2020, I feel my heart aches for the many individuals that have lost a loved one, a friend, a family member, their businesses, my heart aches for that. It really, truly does. But I also am inspired by the many people that have just continued to persevere, and just keep moving forward and reinventing themselves. And I'm grateful that I'm one of those people, and that I'm surrounded by the love, like people like you, But yeah, I mean, 2020 has been a hell of a year for me. It's been awesome.
I know it's just funny because there's certain categories. I got people saying to the point of, oh my God, I can't wait for this year to get done. It's horrible and everything, which I know we have lost a lot of loved ones and I know how that goes. And then you got some people like, well, this has been kind of like my best year because I've been able to revamp and get new opportunities and everything. So please, because I'm so excited for you, tell the people some opportunities that's been going on with you.
Well, some of the most amazing things is why recently, very recent. I don't even know sometimes the days of the week because everything just flows for me. But very recent, I launched my Right to Heal online course, and it's something that I feel so proud about. I've worked so hard to put this course together because it really, I have many people. So obviously I'm the owner of Rose Gold Publishing. And my mission, as you can see here in the banner, is Right to Heal and let your voice be heard. Putting the course together was because I kept on encountering individuals that said, Dali, I want to heal, but not ready to share my story. I'm afraid, I'm vulnerable. I don't know, if anyone is going to read my book, blah, blah, blah. And so I felt that there was a need for individuals to still go through the healing process. I believe there's just too much pain in this world. So putting this course together, it's literally 12 videos, like 12 different assignments. It's throughout. It includes a bonus book, and includes at the end a private session with me, so that we can go over their journey that is involved within those 7 modules. So the book, the course, it's a big win for this year. Also, I was thinking, I was like, oh my God. So I actually also launched my magazine this year, if you recall, right?
Golly, yes.
So I launched my magazine in June of this year. And that was another great win. Dolly, the magazine. Yeah, I'm a little arrogant, I guess.
Oh, no. People got to know.
I always wanted a magazine. And I'm like, well, Dolly the magazine. It works for me. So Dolly the magazine is something new. And it's a magazine that is specifically for women of all ages. And all the articles and all the ads, everything and anything have to be for women. They have to be used by women or written by women. It includes recipes. I even had the home makeover, some artistic things that were being done, inspiring. I also showcase many of my authors there. So that was another big win. And I mean, I just feel so good. You and I, we got to speak at the platform, that
Yes.
summit in July,
Oh, well,
to be in the same platform with Jack Canfield. That for me, that was like, right? Yeah, I just love him, and just being there, and that platform was amazing. It's just, I feel like everything is really going fantastic. I rescheduled my annual gala. Unfortunately, that was the one thing I could not do. But I'm working with I had about 20 authors at the beginning of the year, 21 authors actually at the beginning of the year that I was going to start working with in 2020. And because of the pandemic, some of them had to withdraw for a number of reasons. But I'm still currently working with 20 authors. So although some came off, some came on. So it's just been a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm loving it.
mm.
I have fun. I love everything that I do.
Well, and that's what I always tell people: when you have that passion in you and what you're doing, and when you're doing what you love, it's just like a marriage. It's just so awesome, a really good marriage, because whatever's going on, if you're how busy you are, or what's going on around you, you still like it a lot because that's what you love to do.
Yeah.
So through this whole thing that we've been dealing with this year, you have been getting some big wins. I mean, with the Global Women, and then your 12 series for your online course, which is under, and I hope I'm not overstepping
Yeah, no,
here.
no, the Global Woman Academy. Actually, I sent it to the founder of Global Woman, Mirella Sula, which I just absolutely adore her, and I asked her if she would please consider it for the academy, and she looked at it, she reviewed it, and she loved it, and I was so happy. She really touched my heart. She was like, "Dolly, this is your first course that you put together. I could see that you really your heart in it." She said, "I can really see how this course can help many
Mm.
women, and it's not just for women, it's for men and women. But she said, I can see how it can help, and that's exactly what I wanted. And I want to help as many individuals as I possibly can, so that we can heal the world. Can you, I mean, I know it may sound like an idealistic thing, but can you just imagine if our world was truly filled with happiness and joy and love, and there was no more hate and no more anger and no
Yes.
more greed? And I mean, I know this is an idealistic thing. Is like, I'm sure anyone that's here and listening to me now, you're like, they're like, oh yeah, right, that's never going to happen. Well, it's never going to happen if that's how they continue to believe. I believe I believe with all my heart and soul that you can create the life that you love, the life that will attract abundance and joy and happiness. And that's why I also included my book of how to manifest happiness with the course. You know? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, Dolly, that's what I was saying earlier today, when I started, about those thoughts, those negative thoughts and the words that you put out there. Just like you said, if we keep saying, "Well, it's not never going to happen," why you're living in a bubble, Barbara? Because some people put that
Yeah.
in my head. You live in a bubble. You talking about everybody love each other and stuff. I'm like, no, because I'm not going to say. If you keep saying I'm living in a bubble and you're putting out there to the universe, that's what's going to happen. If you keep saying that the love and everything cannot happen in this world, that's going to continue on the way it is. That's why
Mhm.
we need to put out positive out there all the time. And it's not being like, so, oh, I'm in another world. No, you want this to happen and you're putting it out there to the universe.
You know what? I tell you, I love my life, and I'm not kidding, and I'm not exaggerating in any way, shape, or form. I love my life. I think I have the best life. I live where I feel, oh, like I'm in paradise, where I'm at. My show, the other banner that's behind me is DNA Authority, with my amazing and beautiful co-host Anita Myers. I call her Anita Myers Powers. You know, I love our show. It's fun. We have great energy in that program. You have to come back, by the way. My marriage, my husband, he's just amazing. He's a cutie pie. My dogs, I mean, it's just like, and my authors, the authors with the company. I call every single one of the authors that join me, that choose to work with me, because see, I feel so lucky that every single one of these individuals have honored me by choosing to work with me and my company and allowing me to help them through their journey. So I do not take that lightly. I think that, when you choose to work with me, I give you my all. And I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I want to give you the best experience. And, I'm not saying I will never make mistakes, because that would be a lie. We all make mistakes, but I always consider whatever takes place in your processes, I consider them lessons. I do the best that I can for every single individual that crosses my path, and I would never, ever sell anyone short. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, and when it comes to the stories, even the stories, because some of the stories that I deal with, they're traumatic, right?
Yes.
And I have, like, also like a guideline. To me, it's like, I want to make sure that you shine through your story. Just like you with the Queen Diamond, I want them to shine with this story. I want them to come across as if, one, their healing is so important. Their healing is the number one thing with me. And I meant this with me. You may be working with me, but it's never about your book. Your book, at the end of the day, is your trophy. You graduated. You went through the process. You went through the journey. And when you get that book in your hand, it's,
the heavens open up. I'm telling you.
yeah, it's like, yes, I have arrived. But it's truly about the journey. I mean, I'm dealing with, I just published a book from one of the authors where she was kidnapped as a child. And she was taken across to another country, different language, and that was incredible.
Wow,
it truly is. I dealt with stories of narcissism, marriage, abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, death. Death is another big one. And then we have like even Anita Myers. We had her children's book, Hearts to Matter. Dealing with grief, but the way that she shared it was through children's book. So, how we deliver the message to the individuals, but just seeing these authors go through this amazing journey, for me, is like, wow, it's just so powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sally, I am so grateful for you, and thank you for coming on, my show, because I've been wanting you to come on. I was like, okay, I know she's busy and stuff like that, but I'm going to just throw out there to see if she can do it today. And you were just like, yeah, I think I can make it. I was like, yeah.
Well, you're doing some great things, and I'm really proud of you, Barbara. I'm really proud of you, and you just keep on striving and keep on hitting it hard. Look, I always say that when we're down, we can only look up.
That's good.
When we're down, we can only look up, and it's what we choose to do. Many times also, people have a tendency of reacting negatively and to staying with that stigma, that negative stigma. I'm like, no, you could choose to live, again, the best life that you want, but you have to make that decision that that's what you want. And it starts with a decision. So I really appreciate you having me back on. I adore you, my dear. I just love you. You're the best. And anything that you need, anything I can help with, you let me know, okay? And
yeah, we're definitely I'm gonna be bringing you back on, so you don't have to worry about that. I wanted to, just to put it out there, because when I put it out there, that means I'm glad I make myself accountable when I put it out here. So what I want to do is have like an array of authors come in, and as you as a publisher, I want you to kind of be like that, that expert to come on with them, and we discuss certain things about, right to heal and going through the process a little bit more. So I am going to invite you back with some authors. It's maybe some of your authors. We can work together with that and come back on the show. Yeah.
I would love that. You know what? The stories are so incredibly powerful that I know they will continue to impact many individuals. And that's really my intention. I always say I want to impact the masses one soul at a time.
And you do that. And you do that. So I want you to remember that you're saving lives. As I said earlier, you are saving lives through what you do, your vehicle of your publishing, your love, yeah, that golden heart that I always say that you have. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I absolutely adore you. Thank you so much, my love.
okay, see you soon. Oh, happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. Stay safe.
You too. I just love that lady. She is just so awesome. See, how can you not fall in love with Dolly? And see, I put it out there, and like I said, when I put it out there, I make myself accountable. So I definitely want, because I've been thinking about that anyway, about bringing authors in so you can hear their stories, uh, bringing in a publisher so you can understand the process of it, and maybe one day, hopefully soon, you want to put your story pen to paper because it's so important. Because I'm telling you how many people you could reach. And sometimes you can be in a collaboration book and just start with one chapter. I did. I have like 5 books out there now, and a lot of them are collaboration books that I, came acquaintance with other women. And I put my story out there in a chapter, and believe me, people, just that chapter alone, just that one chapter alone that you can write will reach so many people. It did with the chapters I wrote, and I know it can do it with yours. So with that, we are the end for today, but not shortly because I will be back on Friday. Yes, I will be on Christmas Day. And I'm so glad I'll be spending time with you on Christmas in the morning time. I wish everybody well, a safe thing. And remember what I said earlier, let go of the thoughts that do not make you strong. We need to stay strong in what's going on today, and we need to keep those thoughts going, not the negative so much, but let's just keep the positive going. And just remember what I always say, your PPD, your purpose, passion, and drive is so important because that's that diamond factor. That's that diamond, that's that foundation in your life. So remember that, keep those thoughts flowing positive, and we can go far with each other. With that, I will see you on Friday. Bye.